What's going on, y'all? Machiavelli Mills TV. So, I'm watching this clip of Trick Daddy on Drink Champs. It's 2 years old, and he's discussing the versus battles that had taken place, particularly the versus battles that took place between Dipset and the Locks. And then he spoke on Jeezy and Gucci Mane, right? And he was talking about how he don't like how that format was because it was super disrespectful during both battles, right? And so Nori say, man, listen. He said I was scared doing the Jeezy and the Gucci Mane verses because I feel like that was very disrespectful. It could go to left field in any moment. He's like, but I didn't think the Locks and Dipset was a disrespectful battle at all, right? And I'm looking through the comments of the video, and people like, yo, people don't understand New York culture, the way we talk, the bravado, the brashness, the culture that we come from. We don't. That wasn't disrespectful. That's just New York. That's just New York trash talking, right? And I get it because New York is a very brash place with a lot of bravado. Chicago is similar, but I ain't gonna lie, like I knew it wasn't gonna go to a crazy place. Well, I don't know. It felt like it. Even Fat Joe said like he didn't know where it could go, right? And cause I like even though they friends and all of that, and they really good, they cool with each other. The Locks and Dips that they friends, but I ain't gonna lie. In Chicago, there's only so many pussies that's gonna fly around. You pussy, you know all of that. It's only so much of that that's gonna go around before stuff get to going violent. And shout out to New York City for not letting them words get the best of them. Shout out to the Locks and Dipset for not letting the words get the best of them during that battle, right? And so when I'm looking through the comments, though, I see this dude that he said this: Southern dudes aren't really hip hop, so they don't understand the battle culture. Most South dudes never had to battle to gain respect. They just made records. New York dudes are different. What do you say? New York dudes a different breed. You had to battle. You had to participate in ciphers to gain respect on the street before you had a chance to make records. It's a rite of passage. It's like hip hop boot camp before you can get respect from other MCs. Country Bamas don't know nothing about that gladiator school. See, that's a New York dude being disrespectful, calling them country Bamas. I can never say Southern dudes aren't really hip hop. Did they grow up in a battle culture? No, that's not their culture. Hip hop, like New York and Philadelphia and them had that battle culture. That was not a Southern thing, right? But just because they didn't have battle culture does not mean they aren't hip hop. How can you really sit here and say Lil Wayne, a Southern artist? How can you say Scarface, a Southern artist? UGK. How can you say Outkast, Goody Mob, T.I., Rick Ross? How can you say these dudes aren't really hip hop? You can't. Even Jeezy. Now Jeezy entered traditional hip hop lyricism, but like Jeezy had one of the most impactful hip hop debuts I remember, for real. One of the most impactful hip hop debuts I remember. How can you say them dudes not hip hop? Just because they don't talk the way you talk and have the flavor the way you have it, they don't have the same flavor you have, does not make them not hip hop. Just because they don't rhyme in a certain type of rhyme scheme, they don't have a certain type of double time flow, they don't rap on certain type of beats, does not make them not hip hop. That's just because they didn't grow up battling each other, don't make them hip hop. People recognize Wayne and Andre 3000 as some of the greatest lyricists to ever live. And they from the South, right? When people talk about hip hop, and I know people try to separate Florida is not really the South. They South, bro. Even though they got their own little entity. They're Southern rappers. Rose, has some of the greatest imagery in hip hop of recent memory, right? Giving us that luxury trap music. Tip is one of the best lyricists of the 2000s, for real, hands down. And you saw it on Swagger Like Us, the way he was rapping, right? When you think about like Bun B, one of my favorite rappers ever. Lyrically, I think he's super underrated, super dope. And I think Big Boy is underrated too because Andre 3000 is often the one that only gets the credit. Outkast is my favorite group of all time in hip hop. Like it is. They are, right? I got an Andre 3000 picture. My sister got me in my usual setup, right? But anyway, man, you can't say Southern dudes aren't hip hop. You can't. Like, honestly, you can't tell the story of hip hop without including the South. From Wayne to Outkast to UGK, you know what I mean? To T.I. Like, you can't, especially the recent stories of hip hop. The recent stories of hip hop cannot be told without the South. Whether you feel like they are lyrically inclined or not, like, come on, bro. Come on, hip hop, really the South had the flag for the longest of time. And people would argue still have it. You know what I mean? So I think, man, it's always been this push and pull, a fight for Southerners to get the respect of New York City, and a fight for the New Yorkers to really like try to like I guess to save their culture, because a lot of New York rappers try to sound like, you know, Houston rappers and all of that. And I guess to preserve their culture, a lot of them was trying to like trash the Southern rappers. Not even before New York rappers started to sound like some of them started to sound like Southern rappers. A lot of New Yorkers didn't want to give the Southerners any shine or any love because they just could not relate to the sound and the music that they made. But I'm from the Midwest. I'm from Chicago, Illinois. So I listen to everything, right? East Coast, West Coast, Southern, Midwest. I listen to it all. And I got a beautiful appreciation of all of it. But yeah, man, like people, like when he said them country Bamas, I said, oh, that's disrespect at its highest degree. Southern dudes are definitely hip hop, bro. You know what I mean? Like, and I'm going to go beyond the biggest records because I know y'all going to say, well, Young Thug ain't hip hop because that ain't how the traditional sound of hip hop, whatever. But I mean, Thug and Lil Baby now for a while was pushing out the biggest records. You know what I mean? So like 21 Savage then was pushing out the biggest records, even though they might not be the most lyrically inclined. But I mean, I'm going to just go to the older rappers I just named. How can you say Outkast and Lil Wayne and Scarface and UGK? You know what I mean? How can you say they not hip hop at all? When the world was listening to them. The world was listening to them. The whole nation were enthralled with enamored with their rhyming ability and their schemes and all of that. You know what I mean? I just feel like it's this constant battle with New York City in the South trying to gain their respect. You know what I mean? And I feel like, yeah, man, they get the little brother treatment when they shouldn't be, because we've had some phenomenal rappers come from the southern region of America. Phenomenal rappers. You know, rappers that I really, really enjoy to the highest degree. Like, I promise you, I put on Ross, Tip, Jeezy, UGK, Outkast, you know what I mean? Wayne, records from Wayne. Nah, I don't got Wayne, like again, I told you, I don't love Wayne the way a lot of people in my generation do. I'm 31 years old. I don't have him as my GOAT, my greatest rapper of all time. But I still appreciate Wayne's lyrical ability and his greatness. And it can't be denied from the long run, the longevity that he had in the rap industry. You know what I mean? But so you can't say Southern dudes aren't really hip hop. Like, just because they didn't grow up battling, yes, battling is a form of hip hop, but yeah, they didn't have to battle to get their way on because that wasn't in their culture. They like to make music, talking about their everyday life, what they go through. You know what I mean? Telling about they're giving us their culture over beats. You know what I mean? So I love the Houston rap scene for the longest of time. Paul Wall, Slim Thug, them, that was gold to me. For real. Like, I was like, that was fire. Kurt Cobain's them, Killer Calion, all of them. I was listening to all of that. So, yeah, I can never say that ain't hip-hop, bro. No. Shout out to JT Money and the Poison Clan, man. You feel me? Who that was going crazy in Chicago, man. We ain't gonna do that, man. Southern dudes are hip-hop too, man. New York dudes not the only dudes that's hip-hop. Y'all gotta cut that out, man. Machiavelli Mills TV.